Hey everyone, welcome. I really need to get this off my chest. Lately, things at home have been spiraling, and after a recent fight with my mom, I'm starting to question whether I'm truly in the wrong, or just finally reaching my limit. I, 26F, recently had a fight with my mom because my sister, 21F, called out of work out of exhaustion. She works at a restaurant that overwork and mistreats her. I recently got out of a place like that, again, as well because it started to affect my own mental health. Well, my mom got mad at her because my sister and I have been helping pay most house expenses, and calling out is a loss of money. She says that we can't keep leaving jobs no matter the environment because there are things that have to get paid. She currently doesn't have a job and my stepfather is not very good at managing money, so we are behind on various payments and they are in terrible debt. I got upset at her for getting upset at my sister because she has been putting up with a lot for something I feel is not our responsibility or faults. She got upset saying that we live in the house, so OFC we are responsible. The back and forth continued with her bringing up irrelevant things like if I lived with my grandma, she wouldn't accept this behavior. We are close to losing our home and this stress has been getting to me for a long time. I haven't even been able to get my own place because I put hundreds of dollars a month to this place. I even pay half of my family's bills and things still are tight. They want me to take out a loan to help paid bills that are behind and asked my sister to sell signed merchandise to pay things off, even though they know that means a lot to her. I feel like I should be grateful to have a place to live in and that complaining about everything I have to pay for is entitled, but my other sister, 20F, she wasn't raised with me, disagrees, saying that the situation is unfair and that my parents are acting unfairly. Edit, this should have been in the initial post, I apologize. There are 6 people living in my house. An added 18F and 13M. I didn't initially bring them up since they were a part of the posted issue. My stepdad makes $100K a year, but he tends to be frivolous with his money, and sometimes even we don't know where it goes. I also tend to be the person who pays for outside meals as they tend to expect it. Share your thoughts. Comment 1. NTA, can't you and your sister get a place together? Then whatever happens is not your problem. If your mom doesn't work and your stepfather is not reliable, then why should it fall to the 2 youngest? This is bullying, manipulation and wrong. She is right in terms of you shouldn't just leave a job before another one is set up first, as it's a life lesson. If you owned a house and had a mortgage, you can't just leave, so that what K mean when I say be better prepared. Your mom can't preach to you when she doesn't work and her partner also doesn't pull in enough to pay things. Would your grandma not put you 2 girls up in her house? I'm sure she would like the extra rent and company, or if she like your mother. Comment 2. 20 years of working in restaurants here. There was a study where the stress of it was as high as surgeons, but even worse because you don't get the money or respect. I believe it. Now I believe having a new job lined up before you leave another, but restaurants are a whole different animal. Take the time at home to find new jobs, it's rough out there right now, then get out and be happy. Comment 3. Dad makes $100K a year? Stop paying their bills, save your money for your own place, your own future. If dad's $100K a year is not enough, tell your lazy mother to get off her ass and get a job. Good luck. Short story 2, this is an interesting. Right, so I, 28M, have always had a somewhat strained relationship with my older brother, 35M. He was, to put it bluntly, rather cruel to me throughout our childhood. He bullied me quite relentlessly until he left home after finishing school. We were raised by a single mum who was doing her absolute best to keep things afloat, and I never told her what was going on at the time because I didn't want to add to her burdens. These days, I'm married with a young son and a stable job. My brother, on the other hand, has fallen on hard times, mostly due to a long-standing gambling problem that's left him in serious financial trouble. A few years ago, he attempted to reconnect and offer something of an apology, but it felt rather performative, if I'm honest. I've kept things civil, but distant. Now, to the heart of the matter, last month, whilst I was at work, My brother came to my home and took my son's old stroller without so much as a message. It's a rather expensive bit of kit, still in excellent condition, and I had already promised it to one of my closest friends, whose wife is expecting their first child. I'd told him weeks in advance that it was his, and he was genuinely touched. When I confronted my brother about it, he was completely dismissive. He said something like, "I'm your brother, that's your nephew. Why are you helping them over your own family?" As though that somehow settled the matter. Frankly, I found the entitlement staggering. So, last week, I drove over to his flat while he was out and had a word with his wife, who, to her credit, was polite but clearly upset. She said their son had grown used to the stroller and they simply couldn't afford another. I told her I sympathized, but it had been promised to someone else and, ultimately, it had never been theirs to begin with. I took it back and delivered it to my friend, just as I'd said I would. Later that day, my brother rang me in a fury, accusing me of being heartless and disloyal, and said I'd stolen from a baby and was a disgrace to the family. I've since blocked him. My wife fully supports my decision. My mum hasn't said anything either way. A couple of mutual acquaintances, however, reckon I was too harsh and that since I can afford to be generous, I should have just let them keep it. So, AITA for taking the pram back and giving it to the person I'd promised it to, instead of letting my brother keep it after he took it without asking. Any comments? Comment 1. So basically your brother stole your property and when you retrieved it he verbally abused you. In what universe is that okay? Apparently your brother's, who occupies a different universe than normal people. NTA. Comment 2. NTA. Your brother is the one that stole from a baby. What he's doing is called projecting, and playing the victim. Which he's not. He's a thief. To put it into perspective for you, would your brother ever consider making a post asking AITA for stealing from my brother and also a baby? I've never met your brother, but I'm sure the answer is no. But that's the question he should have asked himself. Before he stole from his brother. And a baby. All year mutual friends that think you should have let him have it can all pitch in and buy him one. That way he can properly throw all his toys out of his pram. Comment 3. NTA. All these mutual acquaintances are willfully ignoring the fact that he stole from you. Are their items up for grabs just because someone else wants them? Story 3. I, F30, love to travel. While I do love to sit on a beach with a book, my favorite vacations are the type where you walk around a ton, sightsee, visit historical sites, museums etc. My wife, 37, and I are big stop and read this sign about a horrible battle took place 300 years ago types. We also like camping and hiking and getting into nature. We are dinks and fortunate enough to have a lifestyle where we can take trips like this. We recently got back from 2 weeks in Bergen and the surrounding areas. This was definitely a more physical trip, we did Trolltunga and all that. Last night was a party at our friend's house, and I got into conversation with Amy, who is a friend of another friend who was invited. From what I know of the few times I've met her, she does seem to be into very mainstream things. Which is fine. I watched almost all of Love Island on the flight home, Lamau. I told Amy about our vacation and all that, and she said she doesn't take trips like that, but she goes to Disney instead. She has apparently been quite a few times. She asked if I had ever been, and I said no, that's not really my thing, and then she kept on saying why and how amazing it was and just said it's not the type of thing I think we'd spend our money on. You would think I had cursed her out? She looked really huffy and said something like it's not like you're any better than me for going hiking and doing cultured things, you know, and left. I am so flabbergasted. I don't think Amy told anyone, but I told my wife. She said not to worry, that's insane, but? Did I break some weird unknown rule? Did I seem classist? Am I the a-hole? Edit. I wanted to add something in regards to a comment I saw. I am autistic. This is a later in life diagnosis, as is with a lot of women. I've always been told I have an unusual speech pattern, though I have a higher/softer pitch that can fluctuate kinda sing-songy. I'm thinking maybe that could have changed perception. I will take any judgment. Thanks for weighing in. Comment 1. I'll be classist. Experiencing the world around you and other societies is more cultured than going to Disney over and over. I say that having done much traveling and having worked for Disney. That said, she projected her own insecurities onto the conversation. You each have preferences that make you happy. You don't have to understand the other's motivation. NTA. Comment 2. You just ran into a classic Disney adult. There are two kinds of Disney theme park fans: people who love going to the parks and hanging out and having a good time, then going home to their lives, and then there are Disney adults. These people make it their entire personality, and have sunk a lot of money into Disney timeshares, Disney cruises, merch, apparel, accessories for their car, their Stanley, etc., and get really huffy if you don't see the same value in it as they do, because they assume you're looking down on them. It's kind of exhausting. NTA. She thought you were ducking her yum, but really I think she's just being insecure. Comment 3. Yes, you nailed it. Some Disney adults act like you're personally attacking their whole identity just by not being obsessed too. OP literally said nothing rude and still got side-eyed for not wanting to spend thousands on mouse ears and churros. Insecurity is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Story 4. I really like this story. I, 21F, have been asked by my parents to co-sign a home mortgage worth $200K with my brother, 22M. For context, my dad and brother lives 3 hours away from my mom and my other siblings because of work. I live in another province for military posting reasons. My dad and brother are currently paying rent, and they're looking to buy a house. However, my dad has filed for bankruptcy and my brother has only been working for 3 months at his new job, so he might not get approved. That's why they need me to co-sign for my name and ID. They told me I won't be paying anything because I won't need to put my banking information. That my brother and dad will pay it and I just have to act as a co-signer. This is my first time doing something like this, especially taking in a big commitment such as a home that I won't even be living in. So naturally I started researching about it. I learned that if my brother fails to pay it off on time and whatnot, I am financially responsible for it. I asked my mom questions of what it would mean for me to co-sign. I'm pretty hesitant because of my dad's past history of being in debt. She did not take it well. She said, "Why am I thinking negatively of things? If I really loved my dad, I wouldn't even think in this way and just say yes." I told her it's because I want to think of things realistically and don't want to be in debt in case my brother can't pay things off. She said that my distrust in my dad is unfair, and that this is the only help I'll be giving towards my family and I can't even do it. Mind you, in paying for my mom and siblings' house insurance, my mom's phone bill, and other miscellaneous things that they need money for. Now she said she doesn't want me to do it at all because of how I reacted. What do you think? Comment 1. This is financial abuse of a child. The reason neither your dad or brother can get a loan is because they have proven themselves to be a risk. They are conning you into signing for them. What do you think this is? Just a quick signature? Co-signing means they can come after you if your family defaults on the loan. They will find your bank or property or job and they will garnish/put a lien on property and ruin your credit and life. NTA. Do not co-sign this loan. Comment 2. Don't co-sign. As a Canadian, you are voiding your opportunity to get a first-time home owner reduction for land transfer tax, first-time homebuyer loan from your RRSP, void your principal residence deduction on your taxes, void your opportunity to claim the first-time homebuyer tax credit. Contrary to what others have said, the mortgage company will insist that all co-signers are on title, unlike the USA. Like others, your dad and brother can skip payments, making you liable. That is what co-signing means. Remember that no is a complete sentence and no explanation is needed. Comment 3. This. Plus you wouldn't even be able to get a mortgage to buy a house of your own in the first place, let alone get these first-time buyer benefits, because the bank will consider the mortgage you co-signed as a debt you are already legally committed to. This will screw you for at least a couple of decades, and that's if brother pays every month on time and never defaults. If he starts missing payments and gets in arrears, guess who the bank is going to ask to pay those arrears? Thank you for supporting and watching.